Yo, 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 we are looking at sections 3.3 and 3.4. We're looking at what happens when the lines that are transversal intersects are indeed parallel. And so when this indeed happens, that means that our corresponding angles here must be congruent, as we can see there. And so one thing to keep in mind is that I know it's you might think, oh, the line HN, it goes through both of these. Those are the ones that need to be parallel, but it's actually we need one line through each of them. So that's why we have these highlighted ones here. Same thing with number 2. These are the lines that need to be parallel in order for these um, corresponding angles to be congruent. And here we're looking at kind of what's called a two-column proof. And then we're looking here and we're given this information. So I know there's a lot of highlighted colors here, but it's a little bit helpful. So we're trying to prove that these blue ones, A and B, are going to be parallel, and these things need to happen. And so we are given that the angles 2 and 3, these are given to us, and therefore they are supplementary because it tells us that. And then we have to look at here and say, okay, 1 and 3 are a linear pair, and we know that angles that are a linear pair are supplemental. So being that these are supplemental as well as 1 and 3 are supplemental, or sorry, 2 and 3 are supplemental and 1 and 3 are supplemental, then that means that 1 and 2 must be congruent. All right, and so this would be supplements of the same angle. So if we look at these two and say, okay, let's say angle 1 is 120 degrees, that means if these are a linear pair or if they're supplemental, that 3 needs to be 60 degrees. As well as, since we're given 2 and 3 are supplemental, if this is 60, then this needs to be 120, which means 1 and 2 are 120, which means they are congruent. So that's what's being said here. And since these corresponding angles are congruent, then that means that those lines A and B are indeed parallel. Here, more of the same here. We're given this information about angle 3 and angle 1. These are alternate exterior angles. And since they are congruent, then we know that D and C must be parallel. Here, these are alternate interior angles, which means that they are equal to each other. So I can set up that equation. I solve for x and get 62. Same here, I have alternate exterior, which means they must also be equal to each other. I solve for x to get 42. Here, we're looking at, so this is very similar to the first couple of problems here. 2 and 3 are supplemental to each other, so we look at where those are, 2 and 3. So we see that these are indeed same side interior. So that's all that's happening here. And then once again, A and B. So 2 is up here. We need one line to go through 2 and create 2. We need another line to go through 3 and create 3. And A and B need to be parallel for them to be supplemental. Same approach here to number 8. 1 and 8 are congruent to each other. So we look at 1 and 8. I have those highlighted in yellow. And we see that those are alternate exterior angles. So that's what comes in here. And then we need to look at what goes through this. So remember, we need one line to go through here. We don't need one line to go through both of them. That's the transversal. All right, so I need A and B to be parallel. And number 9, we're told that these things are equal to each other or they're corresponding. So we set them equal to get 16. That is our value for x. And then I plug them in and I get 49. Since they're congruent, I don't need to plug it in for both of them. They both are 49. Same thing is going to happen with 10. I set them equal to each other. I solve. I get 1/2, but it says it wants it as a decimal. Therefore, I put 0.5. I plug it back in to find out the values of both of the other angles is 17.5. Here, we're given 4 points. We're trying to find out what is parallel. So you could start anywhere, all right? I just started here with K, L, M, N. So you can go in, you need to go in clockwise, and they need to stay in order. So I just labeled these, and we see that the relationship, if I add these two together, I get supplemental. So I know that same side interior is where this comes from, are supplemental. So it's not the line that goes through that creates the supplemental. It's the lines that go through that create these other ones. So KL and NM are the ones that I need. Same thing for number 12. I draw them out, A, B, C, D. I see that the relationship is vertically, so these horizontal lines are the ones that need to be parallel. Here, I highlighted these to kind of see, we're just reading this sentence here, and I kind of drew them out. So pickets I have here in red, and I have one stretcher that is going to be perpendicular because it tells us that. So As we're picking our answers here, pickets and then perpendicular, this will be opposite, so this is parallel. Perpendicular will be the next one, and the same stretcher. So we're using the same words here. Pretty easy to follow through. And then a footpath, footboards, same thing here. Perpendicular, we see they're opposites. Perpendicular, see they're the same. To one side, same side. So we see the same is used for those. And then here we kind of have an illustration here, but I drew it. A and B are perpendicular to each other. B and C are also perpendicular. C and D are parallel. And then as you can see, it's very easy to see that A, C, and D are all parallel to each other.